Yes, from the Arsenal Supporters Trust, we can say good morning to Akhil Vyas, joins us now. Akhil, good evening, good morning, how are you?
Hi there, good evening.
Sorry to keep you waiting, I do apologise.
No problem.
Are you okay, you alright?
I'm good, yeah.
Are you,
Looking forward to fun.
well, I was going to say, you're slightly nervous about this game, Olympiacos against Arsenal later on tonight.
You know what? I'm not. And the reason why I'm not is, after the first two games, we all convinced ourselves that actually going out of Europe might be a good thing. We can focus on the league. You know, we haven't won a league for 10 years, with only 2 points behind the leaders. It could help us. Then obviously we beat Bayern Munich at home and it all changed. And that night we were talking about winning it. So it's one of those where I think we're not actually that nervous. I think we're a lot calmer than perhaps we usually are, because we feel we have got a league campaign to fall back on.
I actually backed you guys, Akhil, after you even after you got beat by Bayern Munich 5-1. I said, you looked at the games that are left, I still fancy Arsenal to go through, but my mind has changed slightly after the injuries you've suffered. So, to three of probably the most key players outside of, I'm guessing you'll say Ozil as well, but outside of Ozil, outfield players, to have Coquelin, Sanchez and Cazorla missing, I just think it's going to be a bit too much to do.
Yeah, I think to be fair, Santi Cazorla has looked really jaded over the last sort of month or so. So I think, potentially, he might not have even played. I mean, he probably would have played, but I think Ramsey there will be fine. But I totally agree with you with the other two. Obviously, Coquelin is someone who we can't actually replace. We haven't got anyone in the squad who can do the job he can. Flamini will obviously try, but he isn't anywhere near the ability of Santi Coquelin. And obviously Sanchez on his day, can turn it. But then we've got other players, if Olivier Giroud can have a good day. I mean, Theo Walcott's obviously back and I think is pushing for a start. And even if he maybe gets half an hour at the end, there are players. Joel Campbell got a goal on the weekend and Mesut Ozil was playing probably the best football. I didn't watch it much at Madrid, I got to admit, but certainly the best football I've seen him play. It's a blow to miss those two, but I don't think, it's important to remember we're not going to Barcelona or we're not going to Munich.
This is true.
We are. I mean, no disrespect, they came and beat us, at the Emirates, so they are a good team, but they're not in that level of that top level of European football.
How frustrating would it be to drop into the Europa League, do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a slight annoyance. I think that would be playing Thursday and then Sunday. It does ruin your sort of league campaign. And it's something we're not used to because we haven't actually played in the Europa League. We played in the old UEFA Cup. It was slightly different then. So that would be a bit of an annoyance. But I don't think we're thinking about that yet. I think if we come to that bridge, we'll cross it then. Perhaps play the youngsters and just give them experience. I don't know.
And do you think Arsene Wenger and you Arsenal fans will live to regret the decision not to play Czech? And what were your thoughts at the time? Because it's, Arsene Wenger at the time was very bullish when he played Ospina and said that it wasn't just his fault. I happen to agree with him. I think that the outfield players that day actually let everyone down. They were poor, Arsenal. But over the course of this Champions League campaign, you look back and think, how are they in this position, Arsenal?
Yeah.
Is it down to Wenger's decision not to play Czech, or is there more to it?
I think he has to take responsibility there. I think one thing is the outfield players were good enough to win those first two games. In the first game, perhaps, Giroud got sent off, a very stupid sending off, slightly unlucky, but also a little bit silly with knowing he was on a yellow. So we had to play most of that game with 10 men. But the Olympiacos game at home, I think, it was just a lapse in concentration at the back. It was terrible actually, and Ospina obviously made a massive error from that corner, and I think it's tough. I think if you buy someone like Petr Cech, you want to play him in big European nights, and he's a sort of keeper that will keep you in a competition like this. But at the same time, he was thinking maybe he has to give his number two some game time. I think it was a bit complacent, perhaps arrogant even, that this Arsenal team is more than good enough to win those first two games, so let me play my second keeper. And it obviously did backfire, and I think deep down Wenger will know that. He's not going to come out and say it, because what if Cech gets injured tomorrow and Ospina has to play the rest of the season?
Yeah,
he's not going to kill him.
No, right.
He can't, but I think he knows down.
Okay. Must be quite frustrating being an Arsenal fan, because in a season where other teams that you expect to do well aren't doing that well, and Arsenal seem to be going well, then they throw away games, losing away at West Brom, a game you think you can win, should be beating Norwich, you draw in that one. Is this just the Arsenal way, Akhil?
It certainly seems to be. I mean, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it as only 2 points off the top. You can even think, actually, Leicester, even though they're doing great, if they're still there in May, I'll be very surprised. So you can actually think, well, forget about Leicester. Arsenal are actually top of that sort of title contenders at the start of the season title. But then you can look at it and think, we probably should be 5 points clear. And that's no lie. We should be 5 points clear. And obviously, when it comes down to, even January, February, March, and if we start to maybe fall, and that will be an annoyance. But it does seem to be the Arsenal way. But, there's a long way to go, and it does seem like no one wants to win it yet. So I think a run of 5 or 6 games, and I think whoever gets a run of 5 or 6 games will be clear at the top by about 4 or 5 points.
Okay. Akhil, you've been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. A quick prediction from you for that game tonight. Olympiacos against Arsenal kicks off 7:45, live commentary on TalkSport.
I think because everyone's focusing on sort of 2-0 and 3-2, I'm going to go 3-1. I think we always concede, but I think we'll score a few goals like that.
3-1. Akhil, you're a star. We've spoken to you before, haven't we?
You have a few times,
You're a brilliant talker. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank
Speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Here you go. Akhil Weiss, as mentioned, from the Arsenal Supporters Trust. By the way, when you're talking about Leicester, I was just looking at their fixtures. Their next